So let's talk about a feeling. A really common one, but one we hardly ever put into words. We're going to get into that quiet, nagging feeling of being the second choice. You know, that little shadow that can kind of follow you around in your relationships and even change how you see yourself. So let's start by just exploring what that really feels like.
Have you ever had that feeling, that sinking sensation that maybe you're the backup plan? You're the one who gets the call only after someone else couldn't make it. Or maybe you're the friend who's always there, always showing up, but deep down you're wondering who's really there for you. Yeah, that's a tough spot to be in, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
All right, so first things first, we need to really get a handle on what this feeling is, because it's not just, a one-off moment of being let down. For a lot of people, it really does become this constant companion. What we're really talking about here is this quiet story you might be telling yourself. It's like this low-level hum in the background of your life, whispering that, yeah, you're liked, but maybe not essential. It's the feeling that your place in any friendship, any relationship is kind of conditional, like you're always just one wrong move away from being replaced. And that idea of a shadow, wow, that really hits home, doesn't it? Because a shadow isn't loud, it's not in your face, it's just there. It's that little voice that makes you second-guess the text message that came in a little too late, or a hello that didn't sound quite enthusiastic enough. It just feeds this quiet anxiety that you're not quite as important as you hope you are.
So, how does this internal feeling start to show up on the outside? Because it doesn't just stay in your head, right? It actually starts to shape what you do, and it's usually driven by this really powerful fear of replacement.
And if you think about it, the logic makes a strange kind of sense. I mean, if you believe your spot is shaky to begin with, then any little mistake, any disagreement, anytime you're not just perfectly easygoing, it feels like a huge risk. The stakes feel so high because you're not just worried about a simple argument, you're worried it's the thing that's going to trigger the very abandonment you're expecting. There's actually a name for this. In psychology, it's called rejection sensitivity. Think of it like a filter over your eyes. It's when your brain is basically pre-programmed to look for and find evidence that you're being rejected, even when a situation is totally neutral. You're just always waiting for that other shoe to drop.
So what does this look like in real life? Well, it's seeing a period at the end of a text and being convinced the other person is furious with you. It's that constant need to ask, hey, are we okay? It's when a friend is talking to someone new and your mind immediately jumps to, well, that's it, I've been replaced. And of course, it's swallowing your own feelings just to avoid any kind of conflict that might possibly push someone away.
Now, this intense fear of rejection, it leads to a very specific and honestly, a very draining way of coping. And that brings us to this repeating loop, this cycle of overgiving.
The logic behind this is all about self-protection, right? It's like your brain goes, okay, if I'm terrified of being left behind, I'll just make myself so useful, so absolutely essential that no one could possibly leave me. And so you become the go-to person for everything, the one who always says yes, the one who always helps out, hoping you can build this little fortress of indispensability around yourself.
But here's the trap. It's only a temporary fix. Look at how it works. It starts with that core fear of being left, so you react by overgiving, doing way too much, trying to prove your worth. And for a second it works. You feel needed, you feel secure. But because that good feeling is based on what you do for people, not just for who you are, that deep down fear never actually goes away. And before you know it, the anxiety creeps back in and the whole cycle starts right back up again.
So you're probably asking, okay, but why? Where did this even come from? To understand that, we have to go back, way back to our earliest relationships and how we learned to attach to people.
And listen, this is probably the most important thing to hear in this whole explainer. If any of this is hitting home for you, it is not because there's something wrong with you. This isn't a character flaw. It's a survival strategy, one that you learned and one that probably worked really well for you when you were younger and just needed to make sure you stayed connected to others. You can almost see how the dots connect, right? It starts with our early experiences, which shape these really deep beliefs we have about our own value. From there, we might learn that belonging isn't just something you get for free. It's something you have to earn, through effort, through being useful. And then, without even realizing it, we carry that same exact blueprint into our adult lives, and we just keep repeating the pattern. But here's the really hopeful part. Understanding where the story started is exactly what gives you the power to change how it ends. And that brings us to the final and most important part, rewriting your own narrative. Seriously, just seeing the pattern for what it is, a learned habit, not some fundamental truth about you, that is a huge deal. It's transformative because when you can feel that urge to overgive and you can pause and say to yourself, okay, that's just my old fear of being replaced talking, you create a tiny bit of space. And in that space, you get to make a new choice.
At the end of the day, it all boils down to a choice between two ways of being. You can give from a place of fear. The whole goal there is to stop someone from leaving you. It feels anxious, it's draining, and it just makes the insecurity worse. Or you can give from a place of real, genuine connection. The motivation is just to share a part of yourself. That feels fulfilling, it's energizing, and that is how you build real bonds that aren't based on obligation.
I want you to let this idea really sink in for a minute. Your past is a story, not a sentence. See, a sentence is final. It's over. It's an ending. But a story can be understood. It can be looked at from a new angle. And most importantly, a story can have a new chapter. Your experiences, yeah, they shaped you, but they do not get to write your future.
So the real question isn't about changing the chapters that are already on the page. You can't do that. The real question is this: knowing what you know now about your story, about the patterns, about where it all came from, what will your next chapter be? Because the pen, it's in your hand now.